All right, welcome everybody to the comic panel. I'm Cody.
I'm Taylon.
I'm Jacob.
And I'm Shawenta.
And today we are going to be discussing The Shadow, Batman, crossover issue, written by Steve Orlando and drawn by Giovanni Timpano. And before we get started, I wanted to give a congratulations to our two co-hosts who graduated recently, Shawenta and Taylon. Congratulations.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Thank you.
So, Taylon.
Yes.
You chose this book. So why don't you tell us a little bit about it?
Yes. So, reason I chose it was the Batman and a crossover with another character who I've never read before, so I was like, all right, sure, why not?
Okay.
And this character is called The Shadow. Mm-hmm. But given the fact that this book is partially published by Dynamite, I'm assuming The Shadow is a Dynamite character.
Yeah, I mean, The Shadow is actually, he's kind of an influence for Batman. He was a pulp hero in the 40s, and then, kind of did a little bit of copy and paste
Gotcha.
to make Batman in the comics, but with some changes, obviously. And so, yeah, and then apparently Dynamite owns the comic book rights to the character right now.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, one of our mini crossover, comic books that we've reviewed. So this comic book features Batman, The Shadow, Robin, aka Damian Wayne, and Ra's al Ghul, and Shawan Khan. Yeah, something like that. And yeah, so it's kind of, it begins as a mystery of what's going on here, you know? And so as this mystery unfolds, they discover, this is bigger than we realize.
Right. Yeah. There's this whole conspiracy of the Silent Seven, which I kept even when I was reading it in my head, I kept saying Secret Seven.
Oh,
and
gotcha.
then
I said Hidden Seven.
Hidden Seven.
Yeah.
Weird.
I mean, it's a comic book, right?
What
you were saying, Talon, where it's it's always, you discover it's bigger than it really was. Never smaller than it really was.
Yeah, even Batman's man, I thought I had it figured out after the Black Glove Society and then the Court of Owls. I didn't think there could be a bigger criminal conspiracy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't know about the Black Glove Society.
Oh, it's dumb.
Yeah.
I think that's from Batman R.I.P., which is pretty dumb, but also pretty cool.
Yeah, I liked that one. But it is kind of just, that one came first and then the Court of Owls. So it's kind of yeah, I don't know. Anyway.
Gotcha.
Can't keep reusing these secret societies we're destroying.
They just keep getting bigger. Because
Yeah.
Black Glove was pretty small in comparison. It could fake a couple deaths. And it could that person you loved was actually a villain. I got you. But then Court of Owls, we've controlled Gotham forever. Mm-hmm. And now the Secret Seven is we've controlled the world forever.
We're also two dudes.
So, question, do we know if this came out after those two stories?
Oh, yeah, it definitely did.
Oh, okay.
Gotcha. Yeah, I think it was 2015, if I remember the copyright information correctly.
I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not expecting to be backed up on that. I'm just saying that I think so.
Oh yeah, we didn't call it the creative team either. We should do that.
Oh, I
know it's something Orlando. I want to say Steve Orlando is the writer.
Right. Steve Orlando and Giovanni Timpano is the pencil and ink color by Flavio Dispenza and letters by Taylor Esposito. There we go. Yeah.
Yep.
And the collection cover was by Alex Ross, which was a cover that I really liked.
It's a pretty good cover. It was a good one.
Very much so. Is there anything more that I can summarize?
Yeah, I think that like
I feel like I hit all like without
yeah,
giving you much detail.
it also seems like this, even though it's just called The Shadow Batman, it seems like this takes place like there was a different crossover, and this is like
Yeah,
the
Talon,
sequel
I want to ask you a
crossover.
question.
Okay.
Did you know that this was the third crossover these characters have done?
No, I did not. Which
'Cause
actually
there's-
makes sense.
There was one in the 70s that I'm pretty sure isn't canon anymore. And then there was one in the mid to late, like 2010, 2011, that is the prequel, I suppose, to this.
Okay.
Which is, that's why they talk about, like, when they're fighting in Wayne Mansion, the Khan is like, I raised you from death because Batman died in the
Yeah.
last one.
Yeah. Okay. Gotcha. There are
Not
some
really,
things.
but he did.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Misdirection.
There are definitely some things where you're like, I guess these guys have interacted with each other before.
Right. Yeah, also I was incorrect. It was 2018, not 2015 that this
Really?
one came out.
Gotcha.
I mean,
does that
The
make
entire
sense with-
thing of like the Shadow, I don't know anything about him. So he's like, he spends a lot of the comic. It's like center stage suffering, I guess.
Right. Yeah.
It's like Margot Lane. I lost the Shambhala. And I'm like, I don't know what any of this means.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that sentiment because I was like, I feel like, you know, like every crossover comic, you know, even no matter how annoying it is, if you like both characters, you get a little bit of like, this is who this character is and this is who this character is, just in case you know nothing.
Right.
And I felt like we didn't get, like, even for Batman, I just happen to know stuff about Batman, but really we don't know that much about Batman if we're going in blind to this.
Yeah. And I would honestly say that there were, like, even the Shadow is not great at, like, explaining his stuff.
No, yeah, not at all.
He's just tormented. That's all I know.
Yeah.
It's weird because like Cody said, the Shadow is like one of those weird characters that had like an influence on the creation of Batman, like kind of like Zorro and Shadow are like the two that are like put up as these are the inspirations for Batman as the Caped Crusader, and it's like, man, there's like nothing in common. I don't think Batman's psychic or carries guns or killed 50,000 people.
So,
To get into the special monk school.
oh yeah. So, when you say inspiration for Batman, is that inspiration for like the people who create Batman, or like Batman in world is like, I'm inspired?
No, inspiration from the people that created.
Oh, okay.
I mean, that explains why, to me, I think the reason that they have it say that the Shadow is like mentoring Batman, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like they're trying to tie it in canon-wise.
Right.
Yeah, because I was gonna say that seems. I don't actually like. Is there a defined like this is how Batman trained? Like,
No, I don't think so. I think
Gotcha.
that's like, I mean, definitely there was influence with the demon Ra's al Ghul,
Demon's Head,
yeah. And
League of Assassins. Or
League of Assassins. That's what I was
Yeah.
trying to say.
Oh, gotcha.
And yeah, he went to multiple schools to get multiple degrees. And he,
Black belts.
yeah, and yeah, he also did multiple kinds of martial arts training, but it's pretty vague.
Yeah.
All of them.
Yeah.
All of them. Yeah. But yeah, what I'll say for like a little bit more on the summary just is that basically Damian Wayne is currently mad at his father for some reason.
His father being Batman.
Yeah.
Why
Or
does he
Bruce
keep
Wayne.
calling Batman father? It's so weird to me.
I mean, that's
It's
how he
just
grew up.
how he was raised.
I don't think any other comic has that though that I've seen.
With Damian
It's always
Wayne?
like, yeah, isn't there sort of like a detached? Usually, Batman's like, Robin, what are you doing? Instead of being like, my son, he's
Well,
lost
no,
forever.
Robin was his son, so
Yeah, Damien is his actual son, like
Okay,
biologically.
why has that never come up before?
Because
We just haven't read those comics.
Yeah, once again, it's assumed knowledge that shouldn't be assumed.
But they've never like actually, like they always have the breakdown moment where it's like, father, where he finally calls him dad or something. But like in this one, he's just throwing it around.
Yeah.
I guess it's with a little bit more irritation than love.
Yeah.
wait, that he throws around the word dad or father?
Father,
Oh, okay.
see, you found me, father.
Yeah, definitely. Like I feel like he's able to use it almost mockingly.
Yeah. You know, I thought was strange was they started off the setting in New York, and I'm like, okay, this is definitely a crossover.
Yeah. We got some
To
real
be real,
nice
I didn't realize that. I was like,
Oh,
it's
gotcha.
another dirty city.
Yeah. Yeah, just interesting that like when they do crossovers like this, they're all like, "Yep, they just take place in the same world. No no universe hopping. It's just which like it's
Don't worry about it.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's so weird that like, you know, for all intents and purposes, this is like meant to take place in the main universe, I guess. Like, or at least it seems that way because they're like mentioning past events, kind of. But it like absolutely does not because, like, I don't know. There's just too much that happens that isn't going to be mentioned in other comics. It's just like weird and silly, I think, to do that.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyway, so moving on to what we liked about this comic.
I forgot we start with that.
Yeah. I'll say that some of this, what I liked was that like there was like a little bit, because we kind of talked already about like how it's like, oh, the criminal organization is always bigger than, you know, the hero thought. But like I liked that there was like kind of some stakes to that, and it's all like, if we take this down, then you know things are going to change in like kind of a negative way, unless we're like prepared for it. And I liked that about this story. I also
Just
like
fighting, right?
Huh?
It wasn't just like fighting. It
Yeah.
was, there's like, what if we try to mess with their stock kind of thing. That was interesting for sure.
Yeah. And I liked there's a moment with Robin, you know, at the end where it was like basically Batman was able to like respect his you know, his ability to like work on the case, and like I don't know, like basically he was like, I trust me that I know what I'm doing. And then like Batman was like, okay, I trust you to do that. And that was kind of a good emotional beat for this story. That was a little bit like all over the place sometimes, but I think that moment worked.
Yeah. Towards the end there, I think I did like that. Because a lot of the time Batman was like, I don't know what we're going to do if we try to take down this organization. It literally has made itself like the backbone of everything. So like, how do you deal with that? And I do kind of like Robin's, well, not solution, but the conclusion he comes to, where he's like, they've become so big that they're redundant in some ways. Which, I mean, it's not fully explained. It's just sort of like, yeah, he's right. But I mean, my interpretation of that being like, you know, you want things to run so smoothly that you don't have to touch it. To the point where like, yeah, you're not doing anything.
Yeah.
Gotcha. No, so for me, I like the idea of the story of like of a crossover. I like that. I also liked seeing Damien. That was like oh, hey, he's here. That's cool. All right. I can dig it.
Yeah. I do. I like having Damien around. I do kind of feel like it also regressed him a little bit. Like, I mean, I'm not like super up to date on like Damien's like character arc, but like when you are all like, okay, this takes place kind of in the main DC universe, and then it's all like, but we're gonna kind of just like remove any like positive interaction that Batman and Damien had together.
Yeah.
Like, it's been like a long time since he became Robin at this point. So they should be like a little bit smoother sailing, seems like.
Yeah, this is definitely like a return to like early Damien. Where he thinks he can do everything but on his own, which like at this point maybe he can, because like he's done Teen Titan stuff and been kind of a solo hero, but like Batman would know that.
He's 13.
And so he wouldn't have the same problems that he does in this comic.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing, right? Like, for the sake of conflict, it has to be that way. It seems like, I don't know, it's the very standard route, at least. We need them to fight about this. What do they fight about? This thing. They always fight about this. So let's do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he's 13, and it definitely did come off as like a little bit of a childish skirmish. Especially like Robin just acting alone and then being like, all of New York is mine. Like, you sure about that?
Yeah, he's definitely doing the same thing that Dick Grayson, the first Robin, did, but like way younger.
Yeah.
Like, I think Dick Grayson was like just out of high school or something,
Really?
just becoming an adult. Because like, I mean, I know like Wally West, because we read the first part of Teen Titans, you'll remember, and Robin was still Robin, and Wally West was going to college. And they're like supposed to be like similar age at least.
Okay.
So yeah. He's definitely rebelling early, and like Robin back then eventually became Nightwing, and then like was like, I'm taking over fictional city Bloodhaven.
Yeah. Also,
Awesome name.
Yeah, that's a good name.
Isn't the Teen Titans headquarters in New York, or is that different?
No, I don't know exactly where the Teen Titans headquarters is, but in this story, Robin was just in a Teen Titans safe house.
Gotcha.
So yeah.
Gotcha. Because I, if I remember correctly, I think that's what the story they went with for like Teen Titans versus Justice League, or Justice League versus Teen Titans.
Oh yeah. Okay, maybe they are in New York. I just don't know.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm like, there's already another superhero team there. Sure.
Oh yeah.
Your city.
Right.
I mean, that's the thing, right? Like, the place should be crawling with superheroes. Kicking Robin out of the way.
Because that's a good point too. It's like, okay, this is a worldwide conspiracy. Like, okay, Batman, you want to keep the Court of Owls to yourself because it's all about Gotham. You want to keep the Black Gov Society because it's still kind of all about Gotham. But like, this is the whole world that you could potentially influence with your decisions here. You don't want to like get a weigh-in from some of the Justice League.
Well, I mean, he was gonna have Superman.
Nah,
Flash,
that was just to protect Damien.
Yeah.
That wasn't to get information.
That was his. I'm extending opportunity here.
I did like that they at least mentioned some other heroes. So it wasn't like, is Batman the only hero who exists?
Yeah, that does come up in crossovers sometimes where it's all like, this is weird.
Also, so then he said like, during that scene, he's like, all right, I need to go over to New York to rescue Damien. And then Alfred's like, New York is like hundreds of miles away or something like that.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, so then where's Gotham?
Right. Yeah. I definitely had that same thought. And while there is problems with it, and I'm not the first person to like have this theory, I am for Gotham being New Orleans.
It's definitely got enough weird ghost stuff going on outside of this comic that it could be.
Yeah.
Oh my god. So with the movie and like dams.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
See, you see it. It works. They just.
I mean, why wouldn't it be like Chicago or somewhere?
Because that's
They
not
get
on the
snowy.
sea. They need a seawall. I don't know. They're on the coast, but Chicago's not on the coast.
How have we stumbled into like where is Springfield in this episode?
Well, because we were asking, where's Gotham?
Yeah. And
Don't worry about it.
And why-
It literally doesn't matter.
and why is Gotham hundreds of
Really
miles away
doesn't.
from New York?
That's the real question.
Because
How
it
long
has
does
to be.
it take like Batman to go places in his Batmobile?
Yeah.
Okay,
'cause-
I mean,
also
within Gotham?
like the ending. Do you remember the ending actually? I just like that just came back to me even though I recently read it today.
Yeah.
No, the ending where they're like, we're gonna take away this big organization that's keeping society down, and then society is healing itself, and they like have flying cars now at the end.
I
or-
don't remember
Yeah,
that part.
yeah.
like drones delivering
Okay, yes.
new organs. Yeah.
New organs, which like, ooh, here comes my new heart. Could see it through the window.
Yeah, they have H2O powered cars, drones. They have little nanobots for healing, like medicine.
And keep in mind, this was only several months later.
Yeah.
Not
Oh yeah,
even a
but
year.
it's because Ra's al Ghul has a tech horde, which is keeping society down.
I don't know. It still should not
And
take
that's
only a
that's
few
the
months, even
real
if you
term
add
that is used in the
specifications.
comic. I didn't make that up. That's tech horde.
Okay. I feel
In a
like
little tech piggy bank.
I feel like we're moving towards what we didn't like about this comic. Was there anything else that we enjoyed?
I liked the art.
Liked the art.
Yep.
Okay.
Fine.
Not comment at this time.
Yeah.
I liked. Okay, I'll give the Shadow franchise a little bit of credit. I liked Khan and how he's one of like Genghis Khan's great whatevers.
Mm-hmm.
In his mind, he's like the only one, but in reality, there's like 1,000. But he's the only one who thinks he's good enough, and that's why he's a villain.
I did enjoy that also because like the moment they're like he's Genghis Khan's like great grandson or something. They said something specific.
Descendant.
And I was like, hey, wait a second. There's like 16 million of those. I looked it up. I like at that moment looked it up. And then later in the comic they acknowledged that. They're like, he doesn't want to believe it though. It's like that's great.
Willful ignorance.
Also, I've never read Doctor Strange or seen any of the Doctor Strange stuff, so I imagine this is the same kind of thing, right? Like doing telekinesis all the time, doing mind battles. Like, what are they doing? What are
Right.
their powers?
Yeah, okay. So I was confused about that too. I did not look it up, but yeah, it seems like yeah, I really didn't think that the Shadow even had powers really until I started this, and then I was like, okay, he can freeze people. Like he's not freezing time, but he can freeze people basically. And like he can also kind of read your mind a little bit because it's like, what is it? The Shadow sees into the heart of
Dr.
Pig.
Pig.
no.
What?
Pig.
Who knows what evil lurks in the heart of men? The Shadow knows what evil lurks in the heart of
He
men.
does look at Pig though,
He does look at
and
Pig,
reads
yes.
his mind.
Yes. I was just trying to say what his power is, how it's.
Oh,
you know,
okay.
it's-
How he described it.
yeah.
Gotcha. But I guess the idea is that he should have the power. He has the capacity to have the same powers as Khan does.
Yeah. He's only at 1% power.
I mean, I do kind of like that part though, where they're like, yeah, you know, you came into the same training as me, and you had actually done like way more intense things. I think killed like more people or did worse crimes or something. And he says the thing that's holding you back is you're kind of ashamed of that. Whereas I thought that was really cool.
That was
And
sick.
that's why
It was
I'm
awesome, all that stuff I did.
Wish I could do more horrible things.
And I can now with this power.
Also, I guess it's so unfortunate. I feel like I would understand the story a lot more and maybe be able to appreciate it if I like understood any of like the Shadow's backstory or anything. Because he constantly talks about Margot, Lane, and Batman's like, the Shadow could have stopped him, but I know he doesn't want to stop him because he wants to know who he really is.
Yeah. I'm like, wait, why doesn't he know who he is? Does he have memory loss? Like,
Well, I thought it was that Khan would be the only one who would remember him, like from before.
right, yeah.
And
I
so
guess
it'd be like the
he's
only semblance of his past in a sense.
okay. Yeah, he's so old that nobody from his life before he was the Shadow knows who he is.
Right.
I mean, I get the impression that it's sort of the thing where like, you take up the mantle or something and you kind of transcend. Because, you know, he's the Shadow. He's like, you see him appear in shadows and stuff. He's very obviously has some sort of otherworldly stuff going on. And I think he at one point says that he's immortal.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah, so at that point you don't even remember what it's like to be mortal or who you were as immortal.
Yeah,
guess.
he's kind of like if Batman was the spirit. I guess.
Oh yeah, that's also somebody else I kept confusing him with.
Yeah, the spirit's a DC character. He's kind of like Ghost Rider, I guess. He's like Vengeance or something, and he's a ghost.
Are you thinking of Spectre?
Maybe he's the one that was Hal Jordan.
Oh, that was the Spectre.
Yeah,
Thanks.
that's who I'm
Okay.
thinking of.
His spirit, though, I'm pretty sure.
What?
There
Different
is the
though.
spirit.
There is the spirit.
I think.
Who's the spirit?
I have no idea, but I think that's a thing. Maybe it's a movie.
You got to come up with better names. I'm sorry, writers in the past, but you got to do better.
I think.
Hey,
there's
we're
the
still
Shadow.
reading The Batman, okay?
This is true.
Cody's doing a fact check over here.
Yeah, I'm like, who is?
Because like I also confused him with like the Phantom Stranger,
Oh.
similar but different.
I thought that was the Spectre.
No, Spectre's green.
Right.
Okay.
A great loop.
Yeah, the spirit is the one that was created by Will Eisner, and he has the
Yes.
domino mask.
All I could say was famous comic book man.
Yeah.
Oh, that's not who I imagined.
And I was right.
Man. Every time I looked up the spirit, though, for some reason, it was giving me the movie version, and I was like,
That's the one that I was thinking of.
oh, okay. I don't know.
I don't know if I've seen it though.
Yeah. Anyway, though, so yeah, I mean, that's also a classic mystery man type hero, so no wonder I was getting it confused.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, though, so I feel like there was something else that I was going to say that I liked, but I totally lost it. So if you guys are all good, it'll probably come back to me later.
No, we
I'll
must
remember it
wait
at some
until
point.
You remember.
Just in silence.
It's such a mixed up story. It's hard to know how I feel about certain parts.
Like yeah, I did read it quickly, but it still felt like I was missing issues.
A little bit, yeah.
Gotcha.
For me, like, it was just like so
Oh, are we getting into the parts we don't like?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
officially. Yeah, it was like really inconsistent to me, I guess. like there wasn't really good reasons for a lot of what was happening. It was just like, well, this needs to happen, so it's gonna happen.
Yeah.
And like also
Villain's plans.
huh?
Just realized, like, what were the villain's plans other than keep our secret evil thing big and secret and
Right.
evil?
Yeah, why did they even give the dolls to Professor Pig? You know?
Well, they didn't give them. Professor Pig just found them. But that begs the question: is like, why'd Professor Pig just find them now?
Right.
They
If they've
made
been
them
doing it-
better.
Well, yeah, it's just dumb. It like opens with solid C tier villain Professor Pig.
Hey, you know, start off small, you know. Keep our expectations maintained.
I'll be real, I was excited for a pig man to be the main villain in this issues.
I don't think Professor Pig's been a main villain in anything.
No, I think
I'll be honest.
So, I mean, I like the idea of like introducing him in the beginning, like as you know, I jokingly said it, but like in all seriousness, like kind of like warming us up to the idea.
I thought you were gonna say that he should turn out to be the big secret villain who's behind it all.
That would be weird. Hey guys, you know, you captured me in the beginning, but actually, I was doing this all along.
Yeah, I'm still in Gotham jail. I'm
Underestimated.
not moved.
yeah, I mean
I guess there's a precedent for that kind of story.
yeah, there is. But no, I don't think that would make it feel even more like just off the wall and inconsistent.
Yeah, how would Professor Pig have engineered the events of lifetimes ago to set himself up as the owner of the tech horde?
Yeah.
I mean, pigs have been around for a while, you know.
Hey, you infest the organization and, you know, you work your way up to the top.
With what, though?
All right. Anyway, I just want to say that I like pretty much instantly came up with a better plan for Khan. I feel like with all of the people around the world that he had control over, he probably could have like released like a deadly nerve gas across like the entire world and then just like risen everybody and then like had everyone in control.
Their dead men just like stop appearing in like the second or third issue. Like after they like fight Damien for a while, from that point on, it's basically all one-on-one fights with the two main villains.
Yeah.
Which is kind of odd.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's always great when like the main like super evil ancient like super powered villain who's beyond human anymore is just standing around like beating up the shadow with punches.
Yeah. He's all like, "You're just a fly to me," but it's like, then why are you beating up a fly? Like, what, dude?
He doesn't even have henchmen to do it.
He's like, does a swatter even consider the fly?
Right? Yeah, I get you. It's just that it's like, get a fly trap, you know? Like,
Also, like, yeah, like the best use of his time is standing around slapping him.
No, he did have a fly trap. He brought in Hawkeye.
no, well, kind of.
That's a little
Oh,
weird.
that was just like old-timey
yeah.
sidekick.
Yeah.
It's like when people used to bring back Bucky before he was alive, take like Captain America, just like rub his nose in. It's like, haha, your partner's dead, idiot.
Yeah, that was definitely that. And also just weird because like, yeah, there's this whole like kind of part of the Shadows arc was all, like at the end, he was like, I don't have agents anymore. I have allies. And I was like, yeah, buddy, you were kind of weird by calling your friends agents. Like, just like, like, what was that about?
Detached.
Agents assemble. It's my birthday.
There are just so many different, better ideas that the villains could have done. Because, like, if they're in control of the world to the point where, all right, Wayne Industries is using a short sell against our main, like, shell company, but we're at the point where we can just, like, make up the economy so that doesn't matter, then, like, hire Deathstroke, write anti-vigilantism law, like, invest in the GCPD so Batman doesn't have to exist, like, literally anything. that doesn't put you in a fist fight in a room with Batman.
Yeah.
That's the only way that he can win.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
there's-
don't know. Ra's al Ghul seems to believe that he can take on Batman.
He never can. I don't think he ever has.
Only by like conniving and like getting his daughter to sleep with Batman to like have a pawn that is Damien.
That's the only way.
The long con.
It is a long con, and that is what Ra's al Ghul does, along with Vandal Savage. Also, where's Vandal Savage? He's immortal too. Might as well.
Yeah, he should be in on this.
Gotham. Wait, well, it is the world.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the other problem. It's the whole world.
Okay, also too, like they don't really do a good job of showing this affects the entire world. Like I feel like I only know it. Okay, Gotham and New York. That's the only two cities I can think of.
Yeah.
They're in California for a while.
Yeah.
Oh, okay,
They
that's-
go to the
that's
Bay
true.
Area.
Damien blows up that power plant and commits B&E.
But seriously, like California, that's so weird to see in a Batman. Like if it's not a crossover,
Yeah, they don't go to the West Coast very often.
there's no
Unless they
West
are
Coast-
on
wait.
the West Coast.
yeah, like West Coast Teen Titans. Is that a thing?
Yeah, there's or sometimes, not always.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I don't know why I hate it so much, but there is the one scene where they have the Shadow just dress up as a normal dude. And like,
Oh, yeah, that weird...
He's my cousin.
no, he's my uncle, he says.
Oh yes.
Oh my gosh. Why would he be his uncle? I mean, he's
And then
older,
like
but
that spread page of like Batman and him in like suits and being like, it's gonna be a night of scotch and warfare. And I was
Such
like,
a weird...
you dorks. And then
Yeah.
all they do is they tell Lucius, pull out the money from that company. That's all they do.
yeah. Is very much like basically like trying to do like the Iron Man corporate espionage angle that's like
Cosplay as stockbrokers.
yeah, is just a weird angle for Batman.
I don't know why they had to dress up the Shadow as like a normal dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, just
So
don't go.
Yeah. Just trust Bruce Wayne to take care of that. You know, hang out in the Batcave, learn how to play a video game.
Just be his Shadow.
Maybe
I-
talk to Damien. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, can't he just show up and like other people won't see him? Like he shows up in like the pig cell and like the police people are like right there.
Well,
That other cop saw him, and that's why he was like choking on his donut or whatever.
no, I thought that he like mind froze everybody in the police precinct except for Professor Pig.
That could also be the case, I suppose.
That's like
I thought it was like Gotham police like code that like you see somebody shadowy in somebody's prison cell, you just turn around. You don't comment.
No, remember this. He's in New York prison.
Oh, was he? Well,
New York
Damien.
policy.
Yeah. But I mean, also, so yeah, the reason that I think that is because Professor Pig was like talking to the cops and they were all like, blah, blah, we're going to see if the warden can do something worse to you. And then they just stop. And then, like, you know, he's like, why isn't anybody talking to me? It's going to make me unbalanced. I'm like,
Okay. Yeah, I did not catch that. Let me see.
I mean, yeah, what's the point of being called the Shadow if people can just see you wherever you show up?
well, I mean, what are there invisible shadows? I mean,
Yeah, but you
You
don't
just see
notice
shadows.
them. You don't notice them.
I
Right.
see.
yeah.
But also, that's the other thing. They dress up in their suits and are like walking through like Wayne Industries or whatever it's called, like the company building, and like everybody's looking at them like they're monsters.
yeah, just
Oh,
like
no, no.
shocked.
I took it as like, whoa, you brought in the big guns.
I guess.
oh, it's just like, who's this weird
What?
old man with Bruce Wayne?
yeah.
They look horrified.
Uh-huh.
They don't look surprised. They look scared.
They do. Yeah, I agree. And yeah, like I'm like, is it just that like Bruce Wayne doesn't usually show up to work? Because that's like kind of a thing. But like, oh no, we're about to get fired. Like,
Oh,
Another
Yeah, this is the
merger.
guy who's buying the company. We're all fired.
I can see that.
Well, okay, that's true actually, isn't it? Like every time Bruce shows up, he's gonna do something. This time he pulls all of the money out of another company.
yeah.
Yep.
Man, that's not to say that Elon Musk is anything like Bruce Wayne, but like I can imagine like a headcanon of like his employees feeling like Bruce Wayne is like Elon Musk, and it's all like, you know, basically like, oh no, he's about to just like go on one of these like wild things that doesn't make any sense. Like,
He's gonna ask R&D for a plane that can connect to his car and can drop from like the sky for no reason.
And be a race car bed at the same time.
yeah.
But no,
And it's gonna have like a full surgical suite in it for no reason.
business boy shenanigans, teehee.
No. There is a reason. He's just not telling you.
Well,
It's like-
Clearly, Batman.
well, yeah,
Sometimes you gotta spend the GDP of a developing country on a jet that can be a car.
yeah. I'm glad that you guys all see the vision there. Anyway, so yeah. Also, Robin's like, I mean, all of the dialogue was kind of like iffy sometimes, and I was really like at the beginning of like Robin is all like, my boot can, or no, that's right. He was like, I have an allergy to taking orders. That's what it was. And then he says something about his boot, and I'm like, this is all dumb.
You think it was an attempt at like early like campy pulpy story dialogue and just poorly executed?
That's an interesting theory. I wouldn't know, I guess. I'm not
Yeah.
that versed on pulpy, campy dialogue, but I will say actually there were certain parts that reminded me like Bruce Wayne sometimes felt like Adam West Bruce Wayne if he was like, if the situations were actually serious. It kind of did have that older feeling, but still in a modern setting.
Yeah.
So maybe.
Like, do you know any specific times off the top of your head?
Not off the top of my head, but it was mostly when he was, as Bruce Wayne talking to the Shadow, I feel like, not in his Batman getup.
Gotcha.
That's what I remember most.
It's like when they went to Wayne Industries.
Or yeah, like right before that when they were kind of making plans, or like when he, at least when his mask is off, he may have been in his bat suit still.
Okay.
And like, yeah, also like the like mini fight that they had in the Bat Cave.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so dumb.
It was,
I hated that.
I thought that was very forced.
yeah. Very.
Like, okay, I get it. It's a crossover story. You have to have the two dudes fight and then they're allies after. Like, I get it. I understand. But you can't come up with a better reason than, oh man, Bruce is upset because his son doesn't like him. And the Shadow's just being a weird loser. Like, that's the reason?
Yeah, they're wasting time while Damien could be in trouble.
And
It
to
is
me,
like a very emotional thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Where it's like, oh, you've come back and you've ruined my relationship with my son. Like,
Right.
oh, start punching you. Like, Jesus.
Wait,
How do you deal with this?
which I will say, like, I feel like Batman should have better control of his emotions. Like, or I feel like that's how he has been portrayed.
I mean, less of like, it's okay for him to not be in control of his emotions. I just don't think he would act in this way if he's not, like, when he's not in control of his emotions.
Yeah.
Like, it's clearly not the Shadow's fault that Damien doesn't want to talk to you. That was happening before he got there.
I think he should have just done some good old-fashioned threatening from afar. And then
As-
left it at that.
It's like you come between me and my son again, we're gonna have some problems. All right, now let's get to work.
Yeah.
Yeah, be toxic in other ways.
Yeah.
Nope, just a dumb fight in the Batcave with like no stakes.
Little flat fight.
Yeah. Also, like I feel like there was something of like they could have done, but they didn't, where it was like there's like the kind of this theme of like mentor and mentee, right? And like in partnership, because it's like Roz and Khan are partners, and like the Shadow and Batman are partners, but they were like, you know, the Shadow trained Batman a little bit, and then Batman trains Robin.
Ra's al Ghul trains Robin.
Yeah, and like, you know, and so there's like kind of this like this cross lineage, like where like Batman is the center of the X, and so there's like Roz, Batman, Robin, and then there's like Khan, Shadow, Batman, like in so there's those two, I don't know, chains that are like, and I felt like they were trying to do like a like parallelism, like, you know, a foil kind of thing, but they didn't, and so I just kind of was left scratching my head like, it seemed like they were going to do something with this, but then they didn't, and so now I just have these like kind of loose theme threads in my head. You didn't do anything with.
I don't feel like they actually tried to do anything with it. I feel like they wrote that and they're like, pretty cool, mentors everywhere. And they're like, that was it.
Yeah.
It didn't feel like there was even the beginning of that.
Okay, maybe I was just
together.
making that up for myself, but I don't know. Yeah, I feel like that would have been cool though if they did.
I can see it.
Yeah, there's something to that. I don't know. Another part I don't like. Another stakeless, dumb fight in the desert with Damien and Roz, and like they keep trying to one up each other. Like Roz, I control the jump jet. Damien ejects. We've been fighting this whole time. All this smoke has been sending out a smoke signal and an electronic signal. And then Roz just one ups him again. It's like we control basically everything, so nobody could possibly know the information you're sending out, and then beats him.
Just never. I'll just make sure it never pings. Like, what?
Which like that's when like the conspiracy like really jumps the shark. It's like, how can you have that many people in on it and not have anybody have noticed yet?
Well, that's how you kill people, bring them back from the dead. There you go.
I mean, I guess, but like all Damien has to do to figure out one guy's dead is just like look at some pictures.
Well,
Batman does that all the time. They're like crime
that.
scene pictures.
I think I remember what, I don't know if it was Damien. It might have been Batman. I don't know. Somebody was like, wow, yeah, this guy's definitely dead because I looked at the pictures. No one could survive that.
Yeah.
I don't remember when that
was so there's police officers who attacked him in the Teen Titans safe house, and he was able to like basically like go back to like track that police officer that attacked him, and he was in a crash with the other guy.
The ship captain that Damien tracks down, huh? He's like, you T-boned like a police officer's car.
Yeah.
And somehow all three of you came away from it alive.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Also, the magic of how like he brings people back and like controls them is like a little bit unexplained, because I was all like, oh wow, the end of this crossover is gonna like end with Batman dying, I guess, because he was like definitely like mind controlled, and so like I assume that when you're mind controlled, you have to be brought back from the dead first.
Right.
And it said that Batman died in the last crossover. So, and then everybody dissolved when the other guy died, but Batman did not dissolve.
But the thing there is like, it's almost immediately after they're like, it's got to be the issue after, or like, it's too soon afterwards. They're like, you were actually lying. You don't have control of Batman. Like, because you didn't bring him back. I think it was like the Shadow who says that to Khan. Something along those lines.
I don't
It's
remember
just a lie.
I don't remember that specifically.
Yeah, I mean, I remember them saying that it was a lie, but like it was a very like one-off line, so I don't know if they said it before that moment or not.
Gotcha.
But
Yeah, I just got the sense that like Khan says stuff to get into your head. And so like that was one of those things where he said, "I'm controlling you, Batman." That's how he got into Batman's head.
but
I mean, I agree, but also I do also agree with Cody the fact that it's brushed away so quickly. They're like, lying.
Well, you know,
JK.
two things can be true at the same time.
yeah, also I thought like same thing with Damien too. Damien gets controlled at the end,
True.
and I'm like,
Okay. I was gonna say, you can control people who, have died and come back. Those are like your actual puppets. But he also has like the mind clouding stuff, right?
Yeah.
okay. I
It's not
guess
just the one.
Because that's how he, like, scraped through the Shambhala. It's like, hey, nah, I am great, and you will see me that way. Yes.
I mean, that's
You
how
are
he
great.
stops the shadow constantly. Like, he's like, stop.
Yeah.
And, you gotta listen.
Yeah, why is the shadow still a problem? If like basically every time Khan's just able to like stop and then almost kills him at the very end.
It's just fun to slap people around
It's like
and keep going.
you could have had this problem solved a while
did they-
ago.
Why did they bring Damien back? They're like, grandfather stabbing him in the desert. And it's like, now bring him back.
Yeah.
Up to the ship.
Also, I finally looked up the abilities of the Shadow. So in print, radio, and film, expert detective, skilled marksman in hand-to-hand combat, master of disguise and stealth. In radio and film only, and apparently also comics, although it's not categorizing that, ability to make himself nearly invisible to others, hypnotic, telepathic, mental clouding abilities, and altering and reading a person's thoughts and perceptions, low-level telekinesis, which is all things that we've seen.
We saw how low level that telekinesis was.
Yeah.
One bullet.
Yeah.
And it was like still moving. It was like,
I thought he was gonna like finally at the end, just like push it away. But no, Batman had to step in.
Is that what happened?
yeah, he threw a little
Yes,
battering.
Batman.
Okay, because I thought it was that it bounced off his forehead, like Superman.
Like some Hunter x Hunter stuff where it just like shield his body and telekinetic energy.
I mean, we can get into the art later. Where some of that was hard to read.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
I'm not sure if there's anything else that like specifically I didn't like. I mean, it was silly. Like they were trying to go for a dramatic, like reveal. There's like, oh, we call our group the Silent Seven, but really there's just two of us. But that just seemed lame.
Yeah, that was lamer. Dark here.
Yep.
Yeah. And it was like, you didn't even, like, you talked about why, there was a group before that you were a part of and you killed everybody, including the leader of that group. But you didn't say who else was in the group. Just,
Oh my god, they should have brought them back. So there's 7, and Batman gets there and he's like trying to fight him, and it comes out that most of them are just dust dudes.
That's interesting. Yeah.
that would be cool.
Yeah. Okay.
I
Also,
love how we're just constantly like writing his story better.
so am I wrong? Is James Moriarty like a Sherlock Holmes
Yeah,
antagonist?
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Gotcha.
I thought they were just reusing the name.
Yeah. Probably.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure they're just reusing the name, but like I don't know. I was like, why? Why James Moriarty? Of
Yeah.
all the names.
Just a famous criminal,
Yeah.
even though he's fake.
Yeah.
Sherlock's
But
secret superhero.
I was gonna say, I think Batman's met Sherlock Holmes a couple times.
Oh, really?
Definitely in some versions, maybe not this version.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, like
Like an old-timey time?
Time travel, different dimension. Don't worry about it.
something. I don't know. Yeah, I would almost be surprised because, like, we kind of mentioned it. It's like, okay, so Sherlock Holmes, the Shadow, and then like Zorro are like kind of the three influences of Batman. There's probably others, but like, that's like kind of some of the mains. And I'm surprised that there isn't a Zorro reference, kind of.
There might be. We're just not up to date enough on Zorro lore to have caught it.
Good point. Yeah, okay. Maybe there is a Zorro reference. I just don't know. But yeah. And then other than that, I don't think that there was anything else. Just that, like, the dialogue sometimes was like the worst part for me. Oh, and I did remember what I liked. Just the concept of the Shadow, like, is kind of cool, and like the line that I said earlier, like, he can peer into the hearts or the evil.
Oh yeah, who knows what evil lurks in the hearts of men?
Yeah, that.
I've heard that somewhere, and it definitely wasn't about the Shadow or in this book, but I don't know where it was.
Interesting.
I mean, it could be the Bible. There's very similar lines.
Yeah, it's a big book, bunch of proverbs in there. Who knows?
That's possible. But it's a cool line. Like, it kind of feels like the Twilight Zone, like the intro, like you've now stepped into the Twilight Zone. Do 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 do. Like I could see that being like the Shadow television hour. Anyway, so yeah, that was something I liked. And I think that the dialogue was my least favorite.
Gotcha.
Definitely did enjoy like the hand wave, like, oh yeah, we blew up Wayne Manor, and also Alfred, but there's this weird, dumb liquid like airbag that Bruce Wayne has just like installed
What's going on
in Alfred's bed.
Yeah.
Like, that was dumb. And Batman's got these like a dumb bat jetpack to fly away out of the exploding house. That's dumb.
Yeah. And also, like, just the fact that, like, instead Alfred like has this weird like reoccurring like kind of thing about like Bruce like breaking and destroying like antiques of Wayne Manor, and so he was like, that bed was an antique, and I'm like, Alfred, you're alive. Like,
why is Alfred in this? Alfred could have just been on vacation. What does he add?
yeah,
They literally have him say lines like, "But I'm irreplaceable, right, Bruce?" Or
Yeah, that was
Master
weird.
Wayne.
yeah.
Hey, just throw some snark in there, which is like, okay, yeah, sure. But he doesn't like really
Came up with
add
Desperate,
anything to the
though.
story.
I was like, that belongs to Jarvis in the Ultimate.
Yeah, right. Yeah, and he also mentions like it's almost like Steve Orlando was like conscious that it was a little bit out of character for Alfred, because like Bruce says something like, I got you that book with like witty lines or something.
Oh yeah, it's nothing but sass out of you now.
Yeah. Man, Alfred's so impressionable. He's just like read this book and now his whole personality's changed. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So
So I guess
go ahead.
I did have more things that I didn't like,
Oh, go ahead.
but I do want to save that for after the break.
Oh, we're gonna take a break.
Yeah, we're gonna take a break.
Okay.
Okay.
All
Yeah.
right. Well, yeah, we will be back after this short break. Enjoy some tunes.
Yep.
All right, welcome back, everybody, to the comic panel. We are continuing our discussion of the Shadow Batman crossover by Steve Orlando and art by Giovanni Timpano. There we go. Giovanni Timpano. And Talon, you had some more dislikes on the book, so go ahead.
So these dislikes, I think, are really about like the way that the comic seems to be telling as opposed to showing. And that's especially clear with the Silent Seven and just how like broad their reach is, and the inner turmoil that the Shadow has. Because to me, it's like first with the Silent Seven, it's like, oh my gosh, they have such far-reaching, like their reach is all over the world. And it's like, but I don't really see that. I don't see the gravity of how taking them down would affect everything, you know? And like, I don't know, maybe that's probably not something you could really show in 6 issues, but maybe it is.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like you could. I think it's just a matter of like, not doing it in an effective way.
I mean, it probably would be more effective if you had more time, since it's supposed to be such a broad, like, strong and big thing. But like they didn't even try, it feels like, to show it.
Yeah, no.
Just take our word for it. It's even worse than these other things you've seen.
Yeah. And
they immediately reveal the 2 dorks behind it.
I appreciate.
And that's a good term. It is really 2 dorks.
Shoot, what was I gonna say? Just with like the showing and instead or telling instead of showing. Yeah, I feel like that's a good thing to point out, because there's just a lot, and you mentioned the Shadow's like inner turmoil too. And like, we, other than like, you know, not doing like any kind of flashback or anything like that, it seems like, you know, they didn't really take advantage of like the visual medium that much. It was just like saying, this is why I'm upset, upset face, but
and so then continuing off of like the inner turmoil, it's like all we were just told that, and we weren't really shown that, so that when Khan was like wearing down the Shadow, and then the Shadow like rises up, he's like, you tried to torture me, but really you just made me do what I feared to do, which was look inward. And it's like, sure, I feel I'm told this again. Like, I didn't really get that sense that he was making you look within yourself. You know?
And that, like, that could have been done, like, with, you know, like, flashback and, like, maybe some, like, internal monologue, you know? Like, just, like, reflecting on your past and the events that led you to here, and, like, I don't know. Something like that. But instead, it was just,
It's definitely indicative of the larger problem, right? Like, I know we talked already about, like, how the villains are in some ways, like, reactive. They're like, hey, go away. Like, trying to pull the curtain back away from you. But it's just in general, like, what are the stakes if Batman doesn't win?
It's true. Life just kind of goes on.
Like, we're just status quo, I guess. Like, it sucks, but we're doing okay. Sucks, though.
And to me, like, when Damian was like, don't worry, father, like, we can take them down because they've become obsolete. Like, they've become that big. It
Which
just,
is also
Man, you didn't
like,
know that.
yeah.
I mean, also if they're obsolete or like redundant, doesn't that mean it's just the same even if you don't get rid of them? I mean,
Yeah.
That's fair. And so to me, it's like, it seemed like, oh, that's awfully convenient. Like, I don't know. It's just like, okay, that's lame. Like, there aren't any repercussions for doing this. You know, there are no stakes. Okay.
Batman needs to read Marx.
Oh no, I will say, because that is reminding me, are we okay with like how the villains end up in this story? Because like Khan is made
yeah,
into a
that's
weird like male, just like a low-level
He's a
male
paper
worker
boy.
in Wayne Industries somewhere, which is okay. That's like cartoon morality. It's like, okay, yeah, the villain gets sent to a low-level job, sure.
Yeah.
But then there's Ra's al Ghul, who is suspended in a cage above a Lazarus pit just high enough that he can't reach.
Right.
That's messed up. Like, that's too far.
I don't think so. I disagree.
that's pretty cool.
I think it's
I'm
just far
pretty,
enough.
I'm pretty sure the panel is one day he'll pass away, his salvation just inches away. That's too dark for Batman.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying that it's what should be done, but I think that okay, this is either Batman set that up, in which case, yeah, I absolutely agree. That is not his character, or the League of Assassins for some reason set that up.
True.
But I don't know why. So I don't know why they would do that.
Or, here's an idea that just popped in. Do you think, like, the heroes traded villains? Like, okay, Batman, I'm going to decide what happens to Khan. He's going to work at Wayne Industries in a low-level, like, functionary position. All right, Shadow, what are you going to do to Ra's? Put him in a cage above a Lazarus pit, and then he'll die. Like, that's... What?
Gotcha.
Yeah, but
Isn't that kind of a good point that like if it's a punishment to work in your mailroom, Batman, what are you doing?
yeah.
Well, no. It's like not because the way they describe it is that his mind is so clouded he doesn't know who he is, like kind of thing.
Right.
He doesn't
yeah.
have the confidence in himself that he did before.
And it's not as much of a punishment as it is to humble him. It's more like Odin making Thor on Earth.
Oh, it's like those YouTube videos where they're like, you be mean to that shopkeeper and you'll have to push around carts for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
Like Dharma.
Yeah, exactly like you were saying, like basic, like moral baby time.
Yeah. Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
And yeah, Ra's al Ghul just gets
Sentenced
I
to
will say-
death.
I will say, like, I think that punishment is just stupid for Ra's al Ghul because, like, how can you even guarantee he's not gonna escape? Like, he still has life in him.
Yeah.
How he's
Fair
gonna
enough.
get out of that?
yeah.
Dislocate your shoulder, you know, just a little bit more.
No, see, I'm pretty sure the Lazarus pit is like you have to like dunk your entire body in there for it actually work, or it just affects the body part that is in there. So you just get a fingertip in there. It's like, my fingertip is young again.
Oh yeah, I mean, I know, like, that's actually something too, is that like Ra's al Ghul has brought himself to like the very brink of death and then like healed himself. So like maybe he'll like his escape attempt will be to like totally like just mush all of his bones until he can fit through the cracks, and then just like
Or just destroy the cage.
or
A
just
man-made cage.
yeah. I mean, it's metal though. He's not super strong.
You just need a saw, right?
Yeah,
I don't know what they do in those prison movies.
True. Yeah, that would
I
be.
think it's a shank.
To shank
Not
the
to break out of the cage. It's like it's a saw blade or a file.
yeah.
I've got a shank for the window. That was pretty good.
You're right. You're right. I don't know my prison movies either.
And then society heals.
There you go.
So dumb.
Yeah, I guess.
Like, that means, like, think about it, that he had that much control of the world. Like, was it did half the population just turn into dust the one day? Like Thanos snap?
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. That's
I
my
think
question
that definitely
too.
happened. Yep.
Oh, my father was just a pawn for the last 30 years.
This is
No.
fun, because
No.
I can get a transplant heart delivered via drone.
I get a free flying car.
They don't even get that explanation. They're just like, oh, my dad's gone. Oh.
Well, I mean,
Yeah, do you think like
pile
Batman
of
held a
stuff.
press conference? Was like, hey, I know like 80% of the presidents, religious leaders, and like politicians of the world all turned to goo in front of your eyes. Here's the deal.
It wasn't me. I didn't do it.
I mean, I kind of did it, but not on purpose.
And they deserved it.
They were all dead. Not
No.
before they melted, they were dead.
This is what you should. It's like, all right, guys, come on. You knew they were in a horrible accident. There's no way they should have survived that. All right. They just got what they were coming to them just later.
Oh, yeah, it's like the whole world just like shrugging, like, yeah, makes sense.
yeah. That.
Okay,
Go ahead, Shawanta.
I thought the villains were dead, by the way. Like, they kicked him. Like, that's what you do, right? You punch him out, and then you're like, dead, and you leave. And then their little hand twitches or something. End of the movie.
Yeah, I
Oh,
definitely
okay.
thought Khan was dead, or like at least like not able to function anymore.
Catatonic.
Catatonic, yeah.
Gotcha.
Nobody ever kills anybody in this thing.
It's true.
Even
That
when
is-
they kind of should.
that is
Even when they could, when they want to.
that is a mark of most superheroes,
Yes.
I will say. But not the Shadow. He's not actually a superhero. He kind of gets
Yeah, he's got those guns. He tries to kill Khan.
Yeah, he does.
He never uses the guns anyway. He like uses it towards the beginning, and then I don't even like see his guns again later. I feel like
Yeah, because he like that's kind of his redemption is he kind of becomes a superhero at the end of this, I guess. Like he's all like, okay, now I'm all about justice and not punishment. 'Cause he's kind of the Punisher.
No.
with-
Don't you understand? He said, I'm about justice, not punishment.
Well, yeah.
So I'm not the Punisher.
No, but he was the Punisher, is what I'm
Oh.
saying.
Man, the Punisher would kill for those powers.
Yeah.
Telekinesis, he'd love it.
Yeah,
The ability to read minds? Oh, amazing.
yeah. He really would like that. It would save a lot of time.
I thought that the Shadows thing was like his goal of eradicating all crime was a punishment to himself. That's what he kept saying. He's like, I realize it's no longer a punishment. It's no longer a curse that I must eradicate all crime.
Yeah, I mean, I think that that's true, but also he felt like he had to punish criminals too, because he definitely kills criminals.
Wait, are we talking about Punisher?
No, we're talking about the Shadow.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure he is a anti-hero vigilante.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Yeah, I mean, I'm willing to
Did you
stake.
see him kill anybody?
Not in this comic, but I'm willing to stake something. My my reputation, I guess. I don't know.
What if he just killed like those two at the end and Batman was like, what the heck, man?
Oh,
You're just supposed to bruise him.
It's like, I thought we were
Right,
going to cuff him, and then we're going to take him into GCPD.
he killed them and then raised them from the dead.
Doesn't have that power.
Well, he does now. Did you see his revelation?
No, he didn't.
He barely got telekinesis.
Yeah. Did you know that Alec Baldwin played the Shadow in 1994?
I did.
I knew there was a 1994 movie. I was going to see when we got there. I don't think any of us were.
No. Yeah, we were not. I'm just saying, though. Alec Baldwin.
Man, he's old.
He's old.
So it might as well not have happened because I wasn't born yet.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, I don't think I've even like seen that movie like show. Like I've seen Steel show up more often than I've seen the Shadow show up.
Steel? Who's that?
The Superman one.
Yeah.
The
Well, not Man of Steel, like the weird like made out of steel dude with the hammer
Yeah.
that was played by some basketball man.
Nope.
So like the death of Superman, there was like Robot Superman and
okay.
Superboy and Steel.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah, let me try that again. I've seen Spawn show up more than I've seen the Shadow show up.
Okay, that makes a lot more sense. Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Just reminded me of the TV show. And
Oh, speaking of TV shows, before we get into the art, I do have some Shadow trivia,
ooh,
kind of.
that's
So-
more relevant than what I was gonna say. Go ahead.
The Shadow obviously is like a part of the origin of Batman in the creative process. And in a nod to this, in Batman the Animated Series, they created the Grey Ghost, which in the show was part of Batman's inspiration to become Batman. And Grey Ghost was voiced by Adam West, who originally played Adam West in the 66 Batman series.
Nice.
So yeah, Grey Ghost is a weird like double reference to The Shadow and Adam West, both formative figures in the creation of Batman, kind of.
I like it. That is fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been thinking about the whole show, trying to figure out a way to get there. It turns out, stop the whole show to talk about it. That's the way to get there.
You know what? You are an equal co-host on this program, so you're allowed that. All right. So, what did we think about the art, though?
Oh man, those panel layouts, I hate them. I hate them so much. They're bad.
They are. Yeah. Why did they do that? There's no sensible reason other than they thought that they were being cool. Except for it's not cool to do stuff for no reason.
Like there's a page of Khan and Ra's al Ghul going through, talking to each other, and they
the
change
page.
direction in the page like 3 different times, and I don't understand it.
Yeah.
They just, in general, didn't feel like they really thought about the fact that you read left to right here. Because they would have transformations or things happen, except it would happen the opposite way. So, like, you're seeing the final part first, and they're like, oh, that's what happened. Like,
Yeah. And there was
leading
like
the eye wrong.
a lot of like weird repetition of bodies in panel. Like, you know, like we've talked about it on the show before, but there's a right way to do that, you know, where it's all like people moving fast or moving like eloquently. But like there's like when Damien is in the desert talking to Roz kind of like in his head or something.
Your spread. Oh my god.
Yeah. It was like, why is there so many Damien bodies? Like, what does that mean?
I was like, okay, I'm just gonna start from the top and like slowly work my way across, and I hope this is the right way to read it, because I legitimately just have to guess.
Yeah, and having so many slanted panels too that that the art goes off into the gutters rather than having like clean gutters. That makes it feel like it's going to be a splash page, but then you turn your device or like, you know, it just looks awkward. Like, you know, if you're reading it in print, then it just looks awkward. You know, you can obviously, it's not a splash page, but it looks wrong.
It also just, I mean, if you do that too often, it starts to feel messy and busy. I think overall that's kind of how I felt about the art, because I think you talked about this in a previous, I can't remember which book it was, but we talked about where the shading, where it's like, why are you doing this shading? And it just sort of haphazard. It doesn't really describe the form. Like, you gotta pick a light source and then just do shadows from there. But no, shadows are wherever you want them to be. You can do whatever you want if you set your mind to it. And they just went with that.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, I agree.
so messy.
It was very messy.
Well,
Yeah.
That's right. You liked it. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say none of that registered with me at all. I did not recognize any of what you just said. Well, as in when I was reading it.
Right.
So, I would have to reread, trying to pay attention to the art to recognize that. So
It wasn't unreadable, obviously. Like, we were
Right.
able to get through it and we
Yeah.
understood it, which is hard to say for some comics out there, even, professional ones.
Mhm.
But yeah, they're just, in general, like, there's a lack of emphasis on certain things, like hitting. Like, sometimes, Khan would hit the shadow or I think even, no, the shadow hit whatever his face is, pig guy.
Mhm.
Pig. And the only reason I could tell is because Pig's, like, face was, like, cracking a little. Like, because there was no, like, swish or, like, show of movement. There's the shadow with his hand back and Pig, like, getting an impact. It's so weird how they would, like, under-represent, like, hitting so many times. So a lot of things feel like just kind of haphazard. It does feel like a slap fight half the time because the punches don't have any impact visually.
Yeah. Also, like, a lot of the lettering for, like, the onomatopoeia effects are, like, really phoned in. There was one in particular where I was like, why is that sound effect there for that action? Like, that doesn't make any sense, and I can't find it anymore, and I don't remember what it was. But, like, the rest of them that I've been looking at, just, like, I don't know, they're not impactful at all. They, unlike the one that I'm thinking of, they technically fit, but they're not inspired at all. Like, one of them is like the Batcave fight between Batman and the Shadow. He punches him and there's thump and whomp. And it's supposed to be basically like a Bruce Lee, like 1-inch punch kind of thing, I think. But it's like, maybe that's the one. I don't know. But it's just,
Oh my god, do you remember when Khan does, like, the Matrix thing with the bullets?
yeah.
Even darkier.
Yeah.
I also like that the Shadow, like, he should know who Khan is, right? Like, he knows his powers.
Yeah.
And he's like, you've made the mistake of revealing yourself. Pulls out some guns and then just starts shooting.
What if he forgets about the bullets this time?
I might catch him by surprise this time.
Imagine
Sure.
you're, like, in an enclosed room and you just start shooting wildly.
It's like, yeah, sure, I pulled them out and started screaming before I was shooting, but what if he doesn't notice? I could still catch him by surprise.
Never know. Yeah.
Man, the Shadow's dumb. Like, I get he was really important to fiction. And, like, he has a really cool pet catchphrase. But, man, he's dumb.
What's
Yeah.
his catchphrase?
Well, I guess it's not his catchphrase, but it's like the radio's catchphrase. Like, who knows what evil lurks in the heart of men? The Shadow knows. Like, that's kind of cool. But, like, man, he just keeps fighting the guy that he knows is stronger than him and has been stronger than him for forever.
Yeah.
Also, he spends most of the issue sad about his own heart.
Oh, yeah, over that lane check, which I don't think we even see
We
in
don't.
this book.
I'm assuming she
He
was in
doesn't
the
get a
first one.
flashback.
Like the first
Like-
crossover in 2011, I mean.
Maybe.
Or mid 2000s, whichever one you said.
We had one flashback, that's enough.
It's like, what was her hair color?
Do we? I don't think, again,
It's her
I don't think we saw
personality,
her.
other than, like, really knowing the Shadow better than he knows himself.
Yeah, that's like,
Was she tough? Like, did he say
I don't know.
Did he say something
He said
about...
she was powerful.
Yeah, okay. That's what I was...
Good for her.
Yeah.
She's dead now.
Wish we could see it, but
She could take on Khan, like, hands down.
Girl boss.
yeah, maybe.
Rose-tinted glasses.
Yeah, it says on the Wikipedia page for the Shadow, a socialite created for the radio drama and introduced in the debut episode, The Death House Rescue, as the Shadow's companion who loves him. Margot aids the Shadow in nearly every radio episode and was later introduced into the pulps as one of his agents.
Agents, huh?
Penelope.
You mean friends?
Yeah.
I was about to ask, like, are these one of the agents who die for you?
Yeah. Yes. I mean, that's like what Khan like kind of implies, although
Right.
like it could be just another lie. Who knows? But like, you know, he had control over Hawkeye, who died before he even met the Shadow. So it's like maybe like, yeah, circling back a little bit to like the silliness of the villain's plans. Why were you controlling all of that for so long?
Why? Yeah, while the Shadow's just tied up to a ladder?
Yeah.
It's kind of bizarre.
It's
Like, not tied up to a chair or like hung up by his wrists. Nope, tied to a ladder.
They can't even
Which
use
seems to go nowhere.
They can't even use the excuse, sorry, we didn't have the budget.
Yeah, but like why
Where else were we going to put them?
why did why did Khan give him like a friend, basically, whoever this Hawkeye character is? You know, why did he like, he's like, okay, I'm going to introduce this guy to be on the inside. And then it's like, well, we only just learned that right now, that he was really Khan's agent. So like, really, you just helped the Shadow because Hawkeye helped the Shadow and you had control over Hawkeye. So you just helped the Shadow on his mission. Like,
But it's, Cody, it's a plot within a plot.
Yeah, I think generationally.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
The Shadow wouldn't have felt nearly as bad if Hawkeye was just like a bumbling loser.
I will say, this reminds, you said something about you got to think generationally. And it reminded me of another thing I didn't like, was that it felt like the prose was just like, I use the term waxed poetic. Because it's just like, I'm so much better. I deserve to be this because I'm the only one
oh yeah,
that has lived long enough. I am the only
mean-
one like with like the confidence in myself enough. And it's like, that's a lot of talking.
yeah. I could see.
There's-
Oh, go ahead.
They were
Shana.
like monologuing to themselves,
Right.
but it was being made into a conversation. So they're just like you're saying, waxing poetically. I think Cody brought that up with the dialogue. I think Khan calls the Shadow like Shakespeare just reciting poetry like a few times. Like he repeats himself with that insult.
Oh no, it's like it's a parrot reciting Shakespeare.
Oh, okay.
It's like you're saying it, but you don't understand.
And he says it twice because it's such a good insult between issues.
I mean, it's pretty solid.
Yeah, I will say I've been thinking more about what Jake said about like how like the dialogue could be like a holdover from like the pulps and stuff. I'm like, now I can see it a little bit more. I feel like where it's like, okay, yeah, you're Steve Orlando, you're researching like how you're gonna write this book basically, and like I guess maybe he should have pulled more from the already existing Shadow comic books and comic strip for like inspiration on making this, because it seems like maybe he listened to a lot of the radio program or read a lot of the novels, you know? And so it's like, okay, yeah, that's how Khan talks. So I'll just bring that over kind of, which makes sense when you're writing a book or, you know, doing a radio play. It's like, okay, that kind of tracks, but like you don't need that many words in a comic book.
Get away with none if you can.
Yeah, true. But yeah, I think that's what I've got for the art. I'm pretty sure.
It's the best way to
Actually-
summarize it.
There was one part I liked, and it's right after, like, I'm trying to figure out the best way to describe it. The Shadow just basically, like, activates his trap card on Khan. It's like, actually, you're in my mind, not your mind. And then, like, punches him, and then it's, like, his skeleton and his muscles and his
yeah.
nerves and his body. That was kind of cool.
Okay, yeah, I forgot about that
It was
part.
something, all right.
I liked the part where he was like all filled with like giant holes and then he started regrowing them. I didn't really like the punch. Like I thought that scene could have been cool, except for it did that thing where it's all like bone, muscle, solid, but then like also like another.
It repeats again
Yeah, it repeats
for no
again.
reason.
And I'm like, why'd you do that? Just have the 3 layers and then be done with it. Like, yeah. But other than that, I did like that scene too. I thought that was interesting. Yeah. And
Gotcha.
I think that's it though.
I just say like, so when I say I like the art, I just want to clarify that from the sounds like you guys are saying, I like it for not any of the reasons you don't like it.
Right, yeah.
So-
I kind of figured that. You know, it functions other than the panel layout, I feel like, you know, the forms of the characters
Yeah.
is enough. You know, there wasn't enough times where I was all like, other than what Shwenta mentioned of like the action
Thinking.
being like hard to parse. But
I had a big trouble with the inking personally.
yeah, the inking, I mean, it was definitely a specific kind of style. And I also kind of wonder, like, sometimes, yeah, the coloring doesn't seem to go with the inking style, maybe. That's a little bit tougher to know for sure, you know, without, like, being able to swap it out or something. But, yeah, it's
Yeah.
meh. Yeah. But I see where you're coming from, though, Talon, that it's like, it's not... We've definitely seen some worse
Yeah.
as far as clarity, which is your number one category.
I mean, that's what I'm saying. Wasn't clear. No emphasis on anything.
Right,
There's
yeah.
emphasis on everything.
Okay, yeah.
Anyway.
No, I'm saying that, like, that is correct, but, like, it also, yeah, I think it
It
would
was
have been,
serviceable for the story.
yeah, it was serviceable, and I think that it would have been worse if it was all de-emphasized in some way, you know, if it was all muddy, but you are right, there's, like, everything was overemphasized, but it's worse to be all de-emphasized, I think. Probably. Gonna say maybe on that.
Wait, what Shawenta, were you? So wait, you were saying that she was saying they were overemphasized?
Yeah, that's
He's trying to agree with us both, I think.
Yes.
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 Which, the more you talk, the more I feel like you less don't agree with me.
All right, then I will leave it at that because I do agree with both of you. I think that there is merits to both sides.
You're both winners.
It doesn't have to be a disagreement.
Two things can be true at the same time.
Yeah. Anyway, though, was there any more thoughts about the art before moving on? No.
One more.
One more.
It should be short.
All right.
I think at the very end of like the second or third issue, when like after Khan has like mind controlled Batman into like almost shooting Shadow, there's like a page that's just Batman's face. It looks bad.
Oh yeah, I think I know the one you're talking about.
Because
Yeah.
it's just like Batman with the mask on, but his mouth is like fully agape. Like it just looks like it's supposed to be in shock or like, you know, how could I have almost done this to my friend, my mentor? But it just looks like you told him like he owes like a bunch of money on his taxes. It's like, oh no.
There's that important panel Where Robin is like, if we cut off the head, the body can still thrive. When he's saying, like, we need to just shut down this thing anyway. Like, we can't wait until there's something else to replace it. Towards, like, in the last issue. And Batman, I think Robin says, like, you need to trust me, Batman. And Batman does, like, a gaping mouth. Like, he looks so weird with just his mask on for some reason in this comic.
Yeah.
Just a personal thing, I think.
I definitely agree with that, where it's like...
Mouth is so tiny.
Also, another thing I just remembered about Batman's costume, I want to like it, but I can't get myself to it. The inside of the cape is purple.
Huh.
And it's like a light purple. And I'm like, okay, I kind of can like that. But then I was like, no, that's... Batgirl has purple. And it but it's more featured prominently in her costume, so it works. It's just one element of purple, and it's like kind of out of nowhere, and there's no like previous, use of it in his costumes before that. So it just seems like they didn't know how Batman's costume was supposed to be.
Yeah, I will say it's a interesting choice to use like a more classic Batman costume. Mm-hmm. I don't know if I necessarily liked it, but it's a decision.
Yeah. Also, part of me wondered when like they're at the end of one issue, there was like Batman was like, we're gonna need to get you a new suit or something, and maybe they were talking about like a business suit.
Yes.
Like maybe but I was like imagining that they were gonna get him a new Shadow outfit.
That's what I thought at first too.
That's when they show up in the dumb suits.
Yeah.
Yep.
Come up with his little like extra name or whatever.
Yeah.
Oh, Allard
Cranston.
Cranston, yeah.
Which I think his last name is, or like, whoever he was before he became the Shadow, his last name was Cranston,
I
maybe?
think so as well.
Yeah, they use it again later with a different first name.
Yeah.
Also, just again, going undercover, no reason. Like, Batman, who is this? Or Bruce, who is this?
Right.
I don't know. It's my friend. None of your business.
I will
Leave us
say,
alone.
So like his spirit, his shadow alter ego, like they refer to him as Yinko, and it took me a while to realize like that's his actual name. I was like, oh.
Yeah, it seemed like one of those things where it's like, oh, you went to the, this secret martial arts land, and so they gave you a new name that, and so that's kind of what I thought. And like, then Khan would just kept referring to him as that name because he didn't know his like, Anglo English name. But also maybe the Shadow is just supposed to be like Asian. But I don't think so.
No, it seems far-fetched to me, but
they did like the flashback with the Shadow and Khan, and I was like, "Who are these people?" Because they weren't wearing their outfits. I think that was a little bit. I don't know if it was just me or if that's the art style.
Yeah, no, I think I was confused about that at one point too. Yeah. Also, like, there's a part. Does the Shadow laugh a lot? Is he? Because there's a part where it's like just lots of ha 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 ha's, and like that's in between issues in this edition we were reading. That's inside the bat, and I was always all like, all right, the Joker is going to show up at some point. Like,
honestly, like I thought that when I first saw it, and then just completely forgot about.
Yeah, I think
questioning it
there's
afterwards.
a part at the very beginning, well, not the very beginning, but the jail cell scene with Professor Pig. And I'm like, wait, is Professor Pig laughing in that, or is the Shadow laughing? It's very unclear. But somebody's laughing, and I'm all like...
Genius little guy.
Yeah. Where is that? I can't find it anymore.
I just would assume it's Khan. Or like...
Maybe.
Khan seems like more of the type
to laugh.
Controlling from the shadows.
Yeah.
Going,
true. Okay, yeah, just another. The art didn't make sense sometimes.
No, I'll agree with that.
All right. Would you guys read the previous Shadow Batman crossover?
I'd be willing to read the mid 2000s or 2011 one, like the first one of this.
Yeah. Jake, do you happen to know off the top of your head who the creative team for that was?
See, I was thinking the exact same thing. It's like, maybe I'd read it if it was a different creative team.
Gotcha.
But yeah, I don't know off the top of my head if it is or not.
Now, see, but I will say, like, I'd be willing to read more Shadow comics, or if that's a thing, right?
Yeah, that's a thing.
Yeah. So his more solo series, I'd be interested in that.
I mean, they bring up at one point space jelly monks. I gotta know what that is.
Yeah, that was weird.
Those are just the monks of Shambhala.
You keep saying that like that means something. What does it mean?
It's just their secret martial arts place. It's like Iron Fist in Kunlun or whatever.
Yeah, Kunlun. Yeah.
Kunlun, yeah.
Yeah. I kept thinking of
Yeah, I don't know that
couldn't think of
either.
it
So
for the show.
Yeah.
So it's just their special school.
Yeah, special school that's magic and hidden from the world.
How did the shadow like lose it then? It's like
Well, he destroyed it, didn't he?
Yeah, he destroyed it in the previous crossover.
Oh.
That's what, at least the context clues I was able to pick up. He destroyed it, he and Batman, in order to stop Khan, but they didn't stop Khan.
No, it was the stag.
Oh, the stag. Okay, yeah.
Which I don't know what that is.
No, I don't either.
the stag was actually Khan.
I think I think they hinted at that.
Yeah, because I definitely thought that Khan was the stag, but then you're right that they didn't call him that enough to really make that connection.
Well, he said I died as the stag 100 times or over or something.
Right.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, the previous crossover had Scott Snyder attached. So yeah, I'd probably read it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Man, no wonder they mentioned Court of Owls. Yeah. Okay. I don't know if I'm that interested to read it, you know? I kind of feel like I know what happens now, and I'm like, I don't know. Yeah.
I just can't do it with the same writer, I think.
Yeah.
It also has Steve Orlando also attached to it.
Okay. All right. So Steve Orlando and Scott Snyder worked together on the first one. Then, like, Scott Snyder was, like, too big.
Scott Snyder was too busy, I would imagine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Too busy.
I don't know, because like I got to the 5th issue and I was like having so much trouble getting through it. I got bored and I kept switching like to different things. It was like, oh wait, I'm now on Twitter. Whoops.
Yeah, I mean, I will say I was pretty much able to get through this all right. I was getting kind of tired, though. I was like, gosh, I could take a nap.
That's always a good sign.
Yeah.
So I was like, yesterday. So I read this yesterday. But before I read it, I was like, okay, I have 7 things I need to get done. All right. Reading the book is one of them. Okay. So I'll make that a priority. And so, like, I finished one thing I had to do, and then I was like, all right, on to reading the book. And so I was just like, all right, here we go, read the book. And then I, like, typed up notes on my computer or laptop. And I was like, man, I usually use my phone for this. This is so much easier on the computer.
Been there.
But yeah, no,
The book did that for you.
No, not the book. Like the book was fine. Like I got through that like any other book. But just the note-taking process was like so much faster on the laptop. I was like, all right.
That's what I mean. If we didn't read the book, you wouldn't have discovered this new note-taking process.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair.
That's true.
Rich.
So yeah, so you're a yes though on
The-
previous crossover. And what about, so probably not Steve Orlando though in general.
No.
He's kind of a prolific writer.
I don't know Steve Orlando, so
Yeah, I definitely know the name. I don't know what he's necessarily associated with.
like if there's a comic that I'm like, oh, this is interesting, and then Steve Orlando was attached, I'm not gonna like not read it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you can't just decide based on like one series.
True. Yeah. And Jake, you would probably read it?
Yeah, probably. I mean, Scott Snyder. How bad could it be?
True. All right. Yeah, like Undiscovered Country. That was probably
It's
like
different.
Yeah, that was different and by him, and that's like kind of what I'm imagining, almost like quality level. Like I'm not imagining his top level Batman. I'm gonna skim it down a little bit weird, not bad, just weird. Shuenta.
I mean, this book was just sort of like the perfect mix of not enthralling art and not enthralling story. So, I don't know, it just didn't work for me.
Gotcha.
In any component, really.
Yeah. Yeah, part of me is like, yeah, kind of like Talon said, interested almost to learn more about the Shadow, but like also not enough motivation to actually do that, I don't think.
He's just, I mean, this probably just wasn't a good portrayal of him, but like, it's so weird and mismatched feeling to me. Like, he looks, visually he looks like a cowboy type character. Like, everything's dark. He's got that flash of red. He uses 2 guns. And he's like in the shadows, and all about the hearts of men or whatever. But then there's like, backstory. He's got telepathy or whatever, telekinesis he's unlocking. And he trained at an Asian monastery. Like,
Oh, I
that
see.
just doesn't feel cohesive. Like, what is going on? What is going to happen next? And then the space jelly monks, like they were talking about. So I don't know what I would be looking forward to with Shadow.
Yeah, I see what you mean.
Yeah, I feel like if anything, I'd be looking forward less to his like more mystical stuff and more like a grounded, like take it back to, his agents, allies, whatever, and like just on the streets crime,
Yeah.
no big global conspiracies.
Yeah, and I'm lately saying that like just more of a I just don't know who he is. So
Yeah, just keep it consistent. Like, if you're going to go for one, then, I don't know, make him visually match, too. I want to see some space jelly monk attire on him. That's all I'm saying.
that's a symbol, a jelly in space.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. There's
Wait,
a lot of
yeah.
creativity that could
Jellyfish.
be there.
In space. There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Space jellies. Yeah.
Oh no, that's a bad thought that crossed my head.
I mean, don't they have that in Mass Effect?
Yeah, but no, like
Yes.
the thought that crossed was instead of jelly, what if it was jam? Then we have space jam. And then like I tried to connect like a step further, and my brain just stopped. It's like, nope, can't do it. Stop there.
Looney Tunes.
I did think of the space balls.
Oh yeah, because they jammed the tracker. Yeah. All right, is that what we call it?
Yeah,
Space jam and space balls.
I will reiterate that I am not super interested in reading the other crossover between the Spirit and Batman.
What about the 1970s one?
No, not that one either.
Yeah.
Definitely not.
But yeah, I think that is all we've got. So thank you, everybody, for listening to the comic panel. I'm Cody.
I'm Talon.
I'm Jacob.
And I'm Shawinta.
And we'll see you next time. Thanks for listening.
Thank you for listening. You can catch our show as it airs on Mondays from 5 to 7 p.m. on KSUA 91.5 FM, the People's Radio in Fairbanks, Alaska. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel at The Comic Panel, It's Comic Time. You can find The Comic Panel anywhere you listen to podcasts. Find us on Facebook at It's Comic Time, Instagram at _comic_panel, and Twitter at The Comic Panel 1. There, you will get updates on when we air on KSUA and when an episode is uploaded to YouTube and to the podcast. Have a great rest of your day.